Hello and welcome to News Tonight. I am Rhoda Ngonzi on sign language, Dorothy Namuyomba. Let's get started. President Yoweri Museveni has today launched Lake Victoria Logistics, a company aiming at reducing the cost of transporting fuel in Uganda. Lake Victoria Logistics was founded in May 2015. That's as Mahadi Infra Uganda, with a vision to change the petroleum logistics for the country and other landlocked countries like Rwanda, Burundi and the DRC that get their oil through Uganda. In 2018, President Museveni laid a foundation stone, and today he officially launched the facility. During the launch at Bujiri Bukasa, Kauku and Tebe Road, President Museveni expressed gratitude to Lake Victoria Logistics for investing in Uganda. President Museveni also revealed that the country's economy has been able to grow progressively due to the right strategy by the National Resistance Movement government.
To enter the market of Uganda, you are talking about the market of Congo, DRC, you are talking of the market of South Sudan, market of Rwanda, Burundi. So this is really a gold mine for investors. Of it. By having fuel getting off the roads, you are targeting that rationalization of the economy. I'm glad the proprietors have and also the ministers have assured the country about the zero chance of pollution of petroleum in the freshwater lake. Now, for the petrol, you have now started. You have assured us, but in the planning, in my opinion, you should also diversify to think of cargo across the lake, other cargo, not only petroleum, especially to Mwanza, because I think that one will be there for a long time. We are going to build another pipeline from Dar es Salaam. That one we are working on to Uganda. But this will take time, of course. We are already building the one for the crude fuel, crude oil, but we shall also build the one for the refined products later. And then, therefore, Uganda should know that cargo will shift from road to rail and pipelines. So that the roads are mainly for passengers and light cargo. I'm therefore very happy for this group, Mahadi. You have helped us, definitely. I don't know how much cheaper. You didn't give those figures, but I imagine it's much cheaper than it was.
Ships made in Uganda. And I don't think there are many Ugandans who know that Uganda has upgraded to that level, where we are manufacturing huge ships. We've been talking about electric cars, and it is exciting. This is equally exciting. And I was assured by the chairman that we have staff from the Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Works and Transport, Ministry of Water and Environment being trained here. Thank you so much for that intervention. I would like to address this to the OMCs, the oil marketing companies. We are making good, conducive environment to you Our expectations, as mentioned by General Katumba Amala, is to see affordable or reduced pump prices. This is what everybody is expecting.
Fuel adulteration. Sometimes people wonder why the fuel they get in their vehicles is not good. This happens because of some of the improper means by which our fuel is transported. Traffic congestion. If one of you have been moving on Ginger Road of recent, you know what's happening on that road. Road accidents and related non-tariff barriers that cause delays and increase the costs for transportation. It is a deliberate government policy to reduce the number of trucks ferrying petroleum products on our roads from Kenya, Kisumu, Eldoret to Uganda. The emphasis is to have these products transported by either rail, which we're already rehabilitating, again, thanks to Excellency for putting emphasis on rehabilitating the rail, water transport, and any other safer means. This effort will greatly reduce on the high road maintenance costs, traffic congestion on our roads, and the frequent associated road accidents.
Also, President Museveni has today delivered a lecture of opportunity to 43 police and prisons officers at State House in Entebbe. The officers have been undergoing a senior promotional training course at the Police Senior Command and Staff College, Webaja. Out of the 43 officers, 5 were from Uganda Prison Services. Delivering his lecture, President Museveni urged the officers to participate in the socio-economic transformation of the country by emphasizing prosperity.
It is much more difficult in this fragmented market of Africa than the integrated market of the United States. So that's why our answer for prosperity is economic integration. But you may integrate like Europe has integrated economically. They've got a common market, but they are still independent countries. If you see how many people have been to the moon, how many countries have been to the moon. The Americans have been to the moon. So for strategic security, that's why we talk of political integration. In addition to economic integration, where possible, have political integration. But economic integration is easy. I can be in a common market with the Egyptians. But if you say we form one country, we become one country, there will be some problems. Language, what, culture. We should not inconvenience one another. Because so therefore, for political integration, like forming the East African Federation, you need people who are either similar or compatible, at least. And I think the East Africans are. Moreover, they even have Swahili, which is like a common language. Now, once these people are together, we shall have one army. That's why we talk of the East African Federation. Shall have one army, one police force, and some other shared maybe immigration, citizenship, and so on. The police, because they are the ones to arrest the ones who steal money, especially the CID, should be, I totally agree that they should be involved.
Which is set to establish a facility for the production of automotive components in Uganda. This partnership aligns with the government's long-term vision of achieving self-sufficiency in the manufacturing of vehicle parts within the country. The executive chairman, Chira Motors, Professor Tikodri Toboa, represented the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Musenero, at a launch in Nakauka, Entebbe Road.
Thank you. These investors coming in is very timely for purposes of accelerating what we shall be doing in Kira. It's not only Kira, even the other industries that are associated with electronics, with mobility, will be involving themselves.
The director, Hinen Company Limited, Kim Jin-ho, appreciated the president's support for this cause and promised cooperation.
Uganda is the best country, I think, because this Uganda, we have a good environment and good connection to another country. And also we have too much minerals and very many sources.
The market potential is big, being a land-linked country. We are surrounded by a big market that is in need of vehicles, and especially the electric vehicles that we are going into. And Hineni offers a big opportunity for Uganda to be at the center.
The initiative comes at a time when the government is intensifying its efforts to reduce reliance on imported automotive components, aiming to foster local industry growth and create job opportunities. Earlier, the Korean investors met with President Yoweri Museveni in the meeting held at State House in Entebbe, where he welcomed the delegation led by Kwon-Hu, Cho Shang-hu, and Kim Jin-ho, all directors of Hinen Limited. On his part, President Museveni thanked the investors for coming to Uganda and reiterated a good working relationship with South Korea. He urged them to take advantage of Uganda's strategic location in Africa and the availability of raw materials by investing in the East African country. The meeting was attended by the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Musenero, the Minister of State for Gender, Esther Davinia Anyakun, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, Ms. Amina Zawede, among others. Mutonyi Hilda, UBC.
Now, the Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, has held bilateral talks with Belarus Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister and discussed ways on how both countries can benefit from the cordial relations. Nabanja, flanked by the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Norbert Mao, and the Chairperson of National Planning Authority, Professor Pamela Mbabazi, met at the G77 plus China offices at the UN headquarters in New York.
Nabanja briefed the Belarus Deputy Prime Minister that Uganda is now promoting agricultural mechanization to increase production and productivity for socio-economic transformation.
Uganda is gifted by nature. We are gifted in a sense that most of our land is arable.
Nabanja says that there is need to establish a facility and fertilizer plant in Uganda to create jobs.
We prefer having fertilizer factories in the country because we already have raw materials. I can request that you look at an opportunity of organizing a fertilizer factory within the country. Because the raw materials are there, we already have phosphates.
Nabanja lauded the cordial relations between Uganda and Belarus and thanked them for their participation in the recently concluded summit in Uganda.
Uganda is satisfied with the excellent bilateral relations that exist between our two sister countries. Uganda expresses its gratitude to Belarus for the active participation within the non-allied movement and a group of friends of the family. We look forward to working together during our chairmanship of NAM.
On his part, Yuri Ambrazovich, the Belarus Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, assured the Prime Minister of their readiness to help the country in agricultural mechanization.
And we would like to say that we are satisfied with the cooperation in the area of military and defense that has been lasting for years between our two countries. This is a very important basement for the trust between two governments, between two people, and we would like to suggest you to expand our cooperation on other economic areas. And there is a very strong message from our President, from our Minister of Foreign Affairs, and from our Prime Minister that we are ready to explore all opportunities that we have at our hands between Belarus and Uganda if you are interested in bringing our agricultural equipments in your country, in bringing our fertilizers in your country, in sharing our experience in professional education, in higher education.
The Prime Minister invited the Belarus Prime Minister to visit Uganda to further cement relations between the two sister countries. Shaidat Nasaku, Ismail Kasoha, UBC News.
Meanwhile, police are yet to confirm the arrest of additional suspects in connection to the attack and robbery of an Indian national along Kampala Road. 3 suspects are reportedly held at Central Police Station, while the pursuit of the other assailants continues. Tony Kent Chaze was at CPS and now reports.
And we have managed to arrest 1 suspect by the names of Alex Ndiaimbazi. He is currently detained at Kawempe Police Station pending further interrogations, and we hope he will help us to identify his other colleagues.
The latest information coming in indicates that police has arrested 3 more suspects in connection to the attack on Joshi Keshav, an Indian national, at the Esso corner. This brings the number of suspects under police custody to 4. This information has been circulating on various social media platforms. I went to the Central Police Station to ascertain the authenticity of this information, but I was told no police report is yet to be released.
I have not been officially briefed about fresh arrests, so let us wait for the official report from intelligence and from the investigators.
Tony Kent Chaze, UBC News.
And security was tightened at National Environment Management Authority offices following the anticipated meeting with a section of Lubigi wetland eviction petitioners. Over 100 petitioners, led by their lawyer, Elias Lukwago, arrived at NEMA at 2 p.m. for the meeting in which they agreed to first meet smaller groups of those affected.
Last month, over 130 people in the areas listed for eviction under Lubigi Wetland Restoration petitioned the National Environment Management Authority for consideration. The petitioners included, among others, those who had occupied and acquired land titles in the Gazette wetland areas of Lubigi, Nabweru and Nansana.
We should have individual petitions to be heard, but all in all, we shall continue so that people get their right, people to reserve their land, because people are now suffering. They don't have where to stay.
NEMA approved their request and was meant to start engaging petitioners today under their small groups.
Those that are likely to be affected by the NEMA evictions were summoned to come and attend a meeting today at 2 p.m. And I am happy that the people have come in large numbers.
This afternoon, over 130 petitioners led by their lawyer, Elias Lukwago of Lukwago Advocates, stormed NEMA offices seeking to meet NEMA officials over the petition.
We have a letter summoning all the petitioners. It was duly signed by the Executive Director of NEMA for them to come, and they show us the place where we are going to meet.
In a brief meeting with the petitioners staged at the entrance of NEMA, Dr. Akankwasa informed Erias Lukwago that the authority had only received 137 petitions. The meeting was held under tight security in front of the NEMA premises.
The petitions were received and they had been scheduled to be heard starting from today. However, the list of petitioners is too long. The people are very many and we don't want to gloss over the issues. Each appellant has a right to be heard.
Dr. Akankwasa noted that the authority is still in the process of engaging individual petitioners given their different appeal cases before arriving at the final decision.
Review if there are those with similar issues, like for example same village. We can hear them together. Same village or same
have space to accommodate at least a village.
Each single appellant has a right to be heard. They can be heard directly or together with their lawyer or together with any other witness they want to bring on board.
In the same meeting, the authority and the lawyers of the appellants agreed on coming up with a schedule on basis of appeals and geographical location to handle the petitions.
Agreed that to ease the way of hearing, we schedule those with similar issues, they be heard together. And we can use geographical location or people with the same issues. So we shall work with the lawyers of the appellants to come up with a schedule of appellants with similar issues, and then we hear them on their own merit and make a determination.
The two parties unanimously agreed on singular engagements and considerations and not on board merit. In this regard, NEMA resolved that no eviction will be carried out in areas that appealed the eviction until the process of hearing the petitions is concluded.
Their appeals, nobody is going to be disturbed. Nobody will disturb you. So, njagala kubakakasa nti tewali agenda kubagobaganya.
Susan Naung and Andrew Sebira reporting for ABC TV.
State House Investors Protection Unit has initiated investigations into the stalled greenhouse project in response to complaints from the German investor of Flora's Best Greenhouse, represented by the country director, Asimwe John Monday. The investor raised concerns about the rigorous bureaucratic processes in Ugandan investment management.
Under the leadership of Colonel Edith Nakalema, head of the State House Investors Protection Unit, an engagement was held involving all key stakeholders of the government project. These included the Ministry of Agriculture, Bukalas Agricultural College, Ministry of Education and Sports, National Curriculum Development Center, Directorate of Industrial Training, and representatives from Flora's Best Greenhouse, the committed investor.
Confirmed that he will fast track the process and will ensure that on 16th of August we shall have a curriculum.
The project that was inaugurated in 2019 has encountered various challenges, particularly concerning limited water for irrigation, which was promised by Ministry of Agriculture.
But there were delays in developing their curriculum and also delays in having sufficient water to supply the project. So the investor complained that he was not receiving quick responses from some of the agencies of government.
Bukalas Agricultural College was criticized by the unit for failing to provide advisory support to the investor, resulting in losses for the investor.
Principal, there you are not.
Madam, may I say something?
Yes, sir.
If you are consulted that we are going to hire so and so, but don't wait until the last day and say so and so has been hired, please come and do this. There is no way you can guide. If we had been consulted that so and so is going to take on this work, what is your opinion?
The developer has petitioned the Investor Protection Unit to address issues regarding curriculum development and water supply, which is crucial for the project's success.
We found difficulties after coming up with this curriculum. We found difficulties in in accessing the approval, because this curriculum has to be approved so that more steps can be taken on. So our coming here is to get more support to see that this one comes to a conclusion and training commences immediately.
Government agencies involved have renewed their commitment to the project, making specific and timely pledges to expedite this process.
That's why we have set timelines here. The good thing, the director himself was here, and we have agreed that as investigations go on in his institution, the timeline must be honored.
There are some issues. There are blame games, but I think those blame games will be sorted out. Who is delaying?
The curriculum was handed over to the consultant. So the consultant would be the one to tell us why he has delayed all this long.
Colonel Edith Nakalima, head of the unit, assured prospective investors in Uganda for a maximum protection and reduced bureaucracy through the recently launched Investors Protection Portal.
Why we have established, again under the guidance of His Excellency the President, we have an electronic Investors Protection Portal which is meant to eliminate the unnecessary bureaucracies in public offices. So all the investors need is just to log in.
Currently, the German investor in greenhouse technology has established 3 operation houses operating below capacity due to inadequate water supply and shortage of trained personnel caused by delays in curriculum development. Abdul Nasir Lubwama for UBC News.
And Climate Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development in partnership with the World Bank have organized a coalition for finance ministers from various parts of the world to discuss financing for climate action. The 2-day conference was graced by ministers and delegates from over 20 African countries, whose major aim has been to discuss the framework and strategy that can aid African countries in particular to design the most efficient setup for financing climate action. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Ramadhan Gobi, officiated the end of the 2-day conference with remarks that Uganda is ready to spearhead this climate action campaign.
The focus on strategic national planning has illuminated the need for comprehensive approaches that address climate impacts and opportunities from the vital sectors such as mining, agriculture, and infrastructure.
The Climate Finance Department in the Ministry of Finance is spearheading an initiative to raise $28.1 billion by the year 2030 to address the impacts of climate change.
We are happy to have been part of the organizing team for the Coalition of Finance Ministers or Ministries for Climate Action, which is a platform that enables us to discuss as different countries on strategies that we can raise financing needed for climate action, to particularly meet our NDCs, or the National Determined Contributions, which are the climate plans for each of our countries. So what was of great importance today was being a part of the panel that discusses a system that has been set up by some ministries with the task of raising climate finance. And in Uganda, we have the Climate Finance Unit in the Ministry of Finance, and we are trying to showcase how much these units can deliver to mobilize climate finance.
During the Climate Action Conference of Ministers for Finance across the world, climate change mitigation, impact of mining, industrialization, agriculture, and human activities in Africa were discussed.
And we've just concluded 2 days of the regional meeting here in Kampala, where around 20 ministries of finance from across Africa came to discuss critical climate issues on green growth, sustainable budgeting, and other topics relevant to finance ministries in our global response to climate change.
As you may know, finance ministries are not part of the climate negotiations, but we're getting organized because financing budgetary tools, economic policy tools are so important to make the climate goals.
That as a country, Uganda, and my Ministry of Finance, we are actually ready to offer ourselves for the leadership of the coalition going forward. I thank you, and may our collective efforts lead to a more sustainable future for all. I now take the honor to declare this conference closed.
The Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, is wholly owned by the government of Uganda and was established to safeguard and promote Uganda's commercial interests in the petroleum sector. UNOC has two subsidiaries, the Uganda Refinery Holding Company, URHC, which will hold a 40% stake in the 60,000 barrel per day refinery and manage the development of Kabalega Industrial Park, and the National Pipeline Company Limited, NPC, in charge of pipelines, storage, and downstream business ventures. This subsidiary holds 15% interest in the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP. EACOP is a 1,445-kilometer long pipeline that will transport crude oil through 10 districts in Uganda to the port of Tanga in Tanzania. UNOC is also actively engaged in crude oil exploration, development, and production activities, and its participation role includes a 15% stake in the Tilenga, Nwoya, and Bulisa, and Kingfisher development projects, Chikure. UNOC also holds the exploration license for Kasuruban Block in Hoima, Bulisa, and Masindi. UNOC currently owns and manages the Ginger Storage Terminal and will build a 320 million litre capacity terminal in MPG called the Kampala Storage Terminal. At UNOC, we're harnessing the potential of Uganda's petroleum resources, forging a sustainable future and preserving the natural beauty of Uganda. UNOC, your partner in Uganda's oil and gas industry.
Amanya gange nze Namutebi Sharon nga nkolera wano wennyini Saka Kirombe oba Makindye. Empangula gye nawanguddemu ssente mbadde nga nkozesa mobile money nga nsindika school fees w'omwana ku ssomero. Okutegeera nti mpangudde, nze mu mutima neegambye nti kambalinde bamale okujja ndyoke nzikirize nti mpangudde. Kyennyinza okubagamba nti si byabafere, weewaawo abafere gye bali, naye ennamba eri emu yokka era bw'eba ekukubidde omanya eyo si yabafere. Mpulira bulungi nnyo 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 era ndi musanyufu nnyo. Naye MTN mobile money mbebaza nnyo, mwebale nnyo, mwebalire.
Together, we're unstoppable.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with baby Junior jelly.
Though dried their chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Baby Junior. Baby Junior.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Amina Zawedde, has urged Ugandan software developers to prioritize research aimed at bridging digital gaps in the country. Dr. Amina Zawedde made these remarks while officiating at the inaugural Developer Summit, emphasizing the importance of creating user-friendly digital platforms to ensure broad inclusivity in the digital ecosystem.
The Uganda Developers Summit has brought together software developers to showcase solutions designed for networking and marketing of potential consumers. The Ministry of ICT and National Guidance urges these developers to prioritize addressing the challenges Uganda faces in its digital ambitions.
We have a national BPO policy or business process outsourcing policy that we are coming up with. Cabinet is going to discuss it very soon, where we come up with kind of a framework or an environment within which someone is supposed to operate legally. We are also working on a startup policy where, through the Ministry of Trade, where that policy will eventually come up with guidelines on how people should fit within the ecosystem.
And the overall goal, like I said, is to showcase that in Uganda we have the right talent that can enable as many companies to come and set up here. The exact thing that is happening in Kenya.
Dr. Amina Zawede has commended the innovators for their solutions and recommends localizing these platforms to appeal to consumers within Uganda's digital ecosystem. Well-guided digital products are expected to combat unemployment by promoting business processing outsourcing.
This helps us to solve our community problems effectively and efficiently, but it also helps us to create employment opportunities for these young people. On the other hand, it is also helping us generate revenue and income for both the people and for the entire government as well, because the government is also looking at improving and increasing our GDP. We can only do that through creating employment opportunities for these people.
To achieve digital transformation, there is a need for increased public awareness and a shift in mindset. This awareness should ensure public confidence in data protection and cybersecurity measures.
Is exposure of these softwares and these learning platforms or any other platform to young people straight from when they are in lower education, that is primary here in Kampala or in Uganda. People should be introduced to these things that, hey, you can use a website, you can use an app, you can use the internet. I think as they grow up, then they will easily and quickly adopt to using these things.
Usually in the university, you get out when they have just basically touched on topics. They haven't gone deep. So literally you have to do your own personal work to get to this level where you're a good developer. So that's a big challenge. We're having half-baked people within the industry because we need more and more courses and more help to get to that professional level.
The Ugandan government plans to utilize established regional ICT hubs to attract young innovators and developers in remote districts. The Ministry of ICT also pledges to expand internet coverage to facilitate digital development. Komagum Rogers and Abdul Nasir Lubama for UBC.
And Kampala Capital City Authority, KCCA, is in need of $200 million to line all the 10 major drainage channels of Kampala. Deputy Executive Director, KCCA, Engineer David Limbazi, points out that lining the drainages will reduce the amount of soil and other wastes that fill the channels during the wet season.
Previously, Uganda used to enjoy moderate climatic conditions, but this has changed in the face of climate change, leading to increased frequency of extreme weather conditions, including prolonged dry seasons and erratic rainfall that cause flooding. Oftentimes, Kampala dwellers are affected by floods, leading to loss of lives, livelihoods and shelter. As part of the solution to control floods, Kampala Capital City Authority KCCA is mobilizing $200 million to line all the 10 major drainage channels of Kampala.
The investment required to be able to line them is about $200 million. So we've been trying to source financing from various development partners to see that we can raise funds to be able to line these drains. Because once you line them, that means you either use concrete or interlocking pavers. That means whenever it rains, the rain won't carry the soil. The channels will be carrying mainly runoff water, reducing the burdens we have now that soil has to be carried in the drains and then we have to come back and desilt.
Also, the public has been urged to contribute towards the reduction of runoff water.
Because water goes to the drain as a result of it not being either drained in the ground And there are ways in which the public can help us, either by harvesting rainwater that can help reduce on the runoff, or even the way we build, make sure the plot coverage. If you have a plot of maybe, let me say, 1 acre, utilize only like 30% of it for, develop only 30% of it. The rest of it can be green. So the water can percolate into the ground rather than it. If you develop 100% of your acre, that means the water will have to run off. That 1 acre will not have any ground left to absorb the rain as groundwater.
Floods come with a number of negative health, economic and social impacts to the population.
When there are particularly the riverine floods, the water stays still for some time in the flat areas. And this one contributes mainly to disease outbreaks. There's also, it forms breeding grounds for parasites, especially like mosquitoes. And this increases the disease prevalence, especially malaria in the region and other water-related diseases. At the same time, you realize that during flooding, sometimes people's properties washed away, the crops are washed away, communities are displaced. And
government now needs to usher in innovations to address challenges of climate change in order to have a more resilient economy. Adia Nakote, UBC.
Members of the sexual minority group have appealed the Court of Appeal's decision that agreed with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau not to register their group as a company. The case was filed by 3 applicants against URSB.
The applicants, also members of Sexual Minority Uganda, in this case include Frank Mugisha, Denise Wamala, and Semfuka Joanita Wari. They filed this case in the Supreme Court against the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. The applicants argue that the tried justices of the Constitutional Court erred in law when they held that the applicants' proposed name, Sexual Minority Uganda, was undesirable and that the Uganda Registration Services Bureau was within its mandate to disallow it.
So one is to say that the court was wrong in saying that LGBTQ persons are not allowed to associate or to assemble in this country because the Constitution guarantees every Ugandan that freedom. And we're at this court because we believe that we shall get a good decision from this court.
They also claim that the justices erred in law when they held that the proposed objectives of the company are criminal and prohibited under Section 145 of the Penal Code Act.
That is a fundamental error, both in law and in fact. People belonging to the LGBT community are not simply sex objects. They are hard-working, law-abiding citizens of the Republic of Uganda, and all the rights that are guaranteed under Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Uganda accrue to them like they accrue to every other citizen.
On these and other grounds, they want Supreme Court to overturn the Court of Appeal decision. The Court of Appeal, in dismissing the applicant's application, was of the view that members of the Sexual Minority Uganda organization were seeking to promote acts of LGBTQ activities in Uganda. Justices of Court of Appeal also agreed with the High Court decision that the Uganda Registration Services Bureau acted in accordance with the law by not registering Sexual Minority Uganda as an organization, as its objectives were aimed at promoting behaviors that are not accepted in the country. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
And the Security Minister, Jim Mwezi, has received over 200 members from opposition who have joined the National Resistance Movement Party at an event held in Rujumbura County, Rukunjiri District. According to the Jim Mwezi, now that the NRM has committed itself on working on the challenges of the citizens, many have fully gained confidence in it.
With the 2026 general polls at the corner, different supporters have started switching parties. The over 250 supporters from Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, in Rukungiri district are the latest to cross to the National Resistance Movement Party. They have been received by the Security Minister, retired Major General Jim Huezi.
Abantu beitu abarebera umushana bakarigayo bakarugumu kuhakanisa NRM bakajoininga NRM tubatera umugabo.
According to Jim Huezi, this is a testament to the fact that NRM is getting stronger every day.
FDC yashanga hariyo okondana urubahondana izo tahantu bagambira ngo NRM ino musinge isto kweta ideology ebigenderero ibyo bindi bibina byona bati biteye nganupu nojura ngo izire ngo namburera ngo mutaka umutaka hatine kirumbu ya umutaka urumumbi ya gumunda ngo gutaha kwata.
Muhwezi has also launched Masia Development Circle to meet the socio-economic interests of the Masia community. Muhwezi notes that such developments aligns to the promises of his 2021-2026 manifesto. Robert Nyango, UBC News.
Now, the NRM Team Thara National Coordinator, Pastor Robert Mbabazi, has encouraged Ugandans to emphasize commercial farming and value addition in their efforts to fight poverty and increase household income. This message was delivered during a sensitization and mindset workshop for over 300 NRM supporters from Kanungu District, held at the NRM Team Thara YKM offices at Chira House in Kampala.
In its campaign to fight poverty, the government has established various programs such as OWC, PGM and NATS. However, these programs are still facing several challenges, including the need for mindset change and issues of corruption. In response to these challenges, the NRM Team Thara YKM has embarked on a campaign to sensitize Ugandans across the country on mindset change to increase household incomes. The national coordinator for NRM Team Thara YKM, Pastor Robert Mbabazi, encouraged Ugandans to engage in government programs and to emphasize commercial farming and value addition. Pastor Mbabazi has been addressing over 300 supporters of NRM from Kanungu District during the sensitization workshop on mindset change held at Kira House in Kampala.
Most important is to first teach them to love each other and also to embrace unity. Unity is very important. In the youth, we are trying to encourage them to form groups. At least a group of 5 people can come up with an idea, like youth in Kampala here, they can start a joint project, either to start a joint saving scheme.
On the issue of the forthcoming general elections, Mbabazi encouraged the NRM supporters to emphasize unity and to support the government in the fight against corruption, among other efforts to reclaim their support, especially in the central region.
We thank our president, our papa, our jaja, the way he's handling corruption, and also we thank all Ugandans who are giving information about corruption. The most important to fight corruption is to give out information on people who are misusing the government resources, and also to teach them to fear God. You know, when you have God in your heart, you can't be corrupted.
We interviewed some NRM supporters from Kanungu District who commended President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for the peace and stability across the country.
I am a child of a farmer, of a peasant, who worked hard with the President Museveni. Because President was happy of what my father did, Mzee Kanyarwaro, President awarded him a vehicle. It is from farming that I was able to go to school, and today I'm a lawyer and I'm an aspiring woman MP for Kanungo District come 2026.
Strongly in full support of President Museveni. That's why we have traveled all the way to come to Kanungo in a big number. We are
backed on. We have, of course, good health standards in the country. The NRM government has also, of course, backed on women emancipation.
Story compiled by Salongo Freddy Kasivante for UBC News.
Gold. We all want it. That soft yellow glow with subdued sun in your hands. That precious polish of elegance. To hold it is one thing, but to taste it is everything else. Relish the satisfying taste of a beer, unmatched in quality, unmatched in consistency, and with 23 Global Gold Awards. A beer unmatched in gold.
Predict the outcome of 10 football games and win big with tickets at only 500 shillings. Play for this Monday's draw to stand a chance to win big with Sports Stake 10.
Buy your tickets at authorized shops on nationallottery.go.ug to download the app or simply dial *278#.
Ugandan National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Welcome back. The National Building Review Board has tasked developers and Ugandans at large to desist from the temptation of contracting unqualified engineers, as this is not only risky but costly in the long run. Ugandans are accordingly advised to always entrust their construction projects in the hands of professionals for the sake of ensuring safety and value for money. This was revealed during a stakeholders consultative meeting on the proposed amendments of the Building Control Act held at Hotel Africana in Kampala.
National Building Review Board is seeking to amend the Building Control Act with a view of tightening some loose ends in the law, thus harmonize operations in the sector. Some of the proposed amendments include building operations without building permit that currently prohibits any building operations undertaken without a permit and imposes meagre non-punitive fine not exceeding 50 current points or maximum imprisonment of 2 years. To the National Building Review Board, the fine should significantly be increased to 1 currency point per square meter of the built-up area.
One new thing that we are thinking about is the idea of express penalties. The way the law is now, if you commit an offense as a developer, as a builder, then we are required to actually take you through the legal process. You record statements, we take you to court, court hears the case on its merits, and then you have a verdict from court saying either you pay a fine or imprisonment or both. So that takes time, and in aspects where we have strict liability, you either have a building permit, for example, or not. Why would I wait for 2-3 years for court to actually prove that you don't have a permit? But that is something that we can decide and prove within 30 minutes of someone assuming that we don't have a permit. So some of these areas we are asking in the amendment that the minister be given powers to designate express penalties in the regulations, and we hope that when that is approved as an amendment, we'll have faster enforcement of some of these provisions and we'll have a safer environment.
Also up for revision is the penalty on the use of fake or substandard construction materials. In its current form, the Building Control Act prohibits use of methods and materials that are unsafe, which the law in seems to apportion a lenient punishment. In the proposed amendment, the fine for use of prohibited building methods and materials shall attract 5 currency points per square meter of the area built.
And the law at the moment says fine them 48 currency points. That's 960,000 shillings. But this is something that has been studied, and it has been proven by technical independent experts that as it is now, it is generally unsafe. And you're asking the proponent of an unsafe method to pay a fine of 960,000 shillings. We think that is also not deterrent enough, and the proposed penalty now, I think, is 5 currency points per square meter. Again, the larger the structure, the higher the risk, the more dangerous it is, and therefore the fine should be commensurate to that.
Currently, in case of any accident at the construction site, it is entirely the responsibility of the developer. Citing a developer as a non-expert in the building works, the National Building Review Board is seeking to shift this responsibility to the site engineer, which ultimately means good for the sector.
Every local and urban authority has someone who is called a building control officer, who gives technical guidance to the building committee. It is his role to inspect buildings in his jurisdiction. So KCCA has a building control officer and assistants in each division of KCCA. It's the duty of those people to inspect the buildings in their areas, and if for one reason or another they suspect that a building has deteriorated below a certain acceptable level of service, then they can require the developer to repair or renovate. Now we want to strengthen that provision so that when this building control officer's assistant suspects that a building looks dilapidated beyond the level of services acceptable, that his intervention does not just stop on him just recommending, but actually the building committee can force this developer to repair or renovate his structure.
All this was revealed during a stakeholders consultative meeting that attracted district building control officers, chief administrative officers, town clerks, police, and among others.
Oyina empapula z'abakugu oba technical drawings okuva mu bakugu ab'enjawulo, ba architects, ba surveyors, ba engineers. Ekirala osasudde ensimbi ez'olina okusasula okufuna olukusa olw'ebyokuzimba. Gye emitendera egimu gy'olina okugoberera ng'olina okutandika okuzimba.
We have Attorney General chambers in the region, in the regions. We have Attorney General in the region. So we are saying, is it possible that you can also set up a regional officers to support the building committees, especially in the initial phase?
Assistant Commissioner of Police Rusoke Kituma, who doubles as the police spokesperson, describes the engagement as pivotal in equipping the force on how best they can oversee enforcement of the law.
And the police being the principal body in matters of enforcement, it was an honor to attend so that we get it firsthand on the amendments being proposed, because essentially the meeting is about amendments to the bill.
Charity Marian Imnat and Kemono Dokas, UBC News.
And now in Sports 2024, Uganda's Secondary School Sports Association Ball Games 2 has climaxed in Soroti City. The closing ceremony was graced by the State Minister for Sports, Peter Ogwang, who called for thorough disciplinary action regarding the use of a non-bona fide player.
The 2024 Uganda Secondary School Sports Association Ball Games 2 have climaxed in Soroti. It was a contest in 6 disciplines, including rugby sevens, athletics, netball, volleyball, handball, and basketball 3x3. Bukedia Comprehensive School won both boys and girls volleyball titles after victories over St. Elizabeth Girls Mbarara, Gongo Vocational, respectively.
Our girls volleyball team find on the first attempt they come and take the trophy here in Boro Games 2 that we are hosted in the College Arrowet here in Soroti City. In the same vein, we have also taken the trophy for volleyball boys. Last year in Kabare, we reached on finals, but we ended up with a silver medal. But here, this time, God has said, Bukedia Comprehensive School, take the trophy. This is your year. Now, as I talk, Bukedia Comprehensive School is the Narongo and Sarongo of volleyball of the Boro Games 2 2024.
In netball, St. Mary's Chitende beat Wakiso rivals Budo SS 34-24 in a one-sided final to retain their accolade. However, Chitende failed to defend their basketball 3x3 title as they managed to finish third, with St. Noah taking it home after beating Nabisunsa 11-2. The boys' 3x3 basketball final between Mbogo Mixed and Budo SS was marked with controversy that led to the arrest of Mbogo student Nguti Shafik of Congolese descent.
Can this man be 14 years? And this guy is 14 years. Can this man be 14 years?
This followed intervention by State Minister for Sports Peter Ogwang, who reminded schools of the new law that criminalizes use of non-bona fide players. The player was taken to police, and the minister also ordered the arrest of head teacher and games teacher.
14 years, I said, which class are you? He said he was in senior one. Senior one. I said, but do you look really 14-year-old? Can you imagine? I have directed that school is called what? Mbogo. First of all, the head teacher of Mbogo must record a statement. The sports teacher, according to the law, must also record a statement, because you know the problem, you people, there's a law. We are not joking. We can't allow us, the elders, we participate in Kidwe. Why? And by the way, I direct investigations on all the two teams. That's in Mbogo SS, and which team was that again? Budo SS. You can imagine when I went to watch handball, it was children playing. When I was watching basketball 3x3, it was men. What is happening? 20 is 20. 20 is not 21.
Bampewo Ntake took the boys' handball title after beating Ntare School 29-17, while Mbogo Mixed won the girls' title after beating Kawanda 13-8. Jinja SS won boys rugby following a 17-0 win over Kira College Butiki, with Nkoma retaining the girls' accolade following a 7-0 win over Jinja SS. Athletics was contested in the 19 Uganda Secondary School Sports Association zones, with Acholi winning the overall, followed by Bukedi and West Nile. The top 4 teams in each sport won slots to represent Uganda at next month's Federation of East Africa Secondary Schools Association Games, to be hosted at the Bukedia Comprehensive and Amas College. Mashomiro Victor, UBC News.
Well, that does it for News Tonight for now. We do return at 10 o'clock with more details. Dorothy Namuyomba on sign language. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Do stick around.